Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is a new venture for me because I'm here in Canada, BC, and I am going to do a video about my daughter and her partner's coastal bliss adventure. So it's very exciting. I'm going to interview them and you'll know more about this wonderful coastal bliss adventures that they have created and built. So we'll click on the video and that will be Gary talking.
Hi, I'm Gary with Coastal Bliss Adventures. You're watching this video because you found our website. In this video I'm going to show you a bit about the West Coast Trail, some of the ways that we prepare you for your trip, and some of the things we do to give you the best adventure holiday ever. The West Coast Trail was created as an escape route for shipwreck survivors from ships that missed the turn into the Juan de Fuca Strait. Many that survived the shipwrecks didn't survive the attempt to get back to civilization through the wild BC bush. That's lucky for us, because this trail was carved out of the wilderness and it gives people access to some of the most incredible coastline in North America. Dotted with pocket beaches, sea stacks, surge channels, and caves, the trail shows the real boundary between land and sea. For you, this means walking the 75 kilometers with a backpack, carrying all your gear and food. And what you bring is important for your comfort and enjoyment. Now that you've enjoyed these great images of the trail, begin your preparation for your own hike and start your trip now.
Now, what was written on the front, which was very beautiful, and when you open up www.coastalbliss.ca, you will read this: Coastal Bliss Adventures. In our hearts, we all live on the land. That is the real world. We take away the obstacles to experience what is real, to experience your bliss. We show you the way. That's Coastal Bliss Adventures. They're on Vancouver Island. So I'm going to interview my daughter, Georgia, and Gary, her partner, as to what was the inspiration behind starting this exciting venture. But Georgia, I know as a child, has always been wandering. You will see on their website the Ecotourism Adventures BC hikes and kayaking tours. Well, they're in the BC area, they're in the Vancouver area, and they have a base at Cowichan Bay. So here we've got the first one, hiking tours, kayaking tours, Cowichan Bay kayaking, and canoeing tours. Now, it's a new venture that was initiated when Georgia and I went out to East Africa to see my sister, and so she decided she was going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and out of it came a wonderful joint venture. She'll talk about that later, or I'll talk about it later. And Summer Kids program, wonderful, and Cowichan Bay birding tours, Paddle Canada. Let me introduce you to Georgia, and I'm going to swing let's hope we can see, there we are. We're sitting like two pigeons on the front doorstep. So Georgia, would you like to say where you're going to be over this weekend?
Yes, over this weekend, Coastal Bliss Adventures and Kilimanjaro Bliss will be at the Toronto Outdoor Adventure and Travel Show. That runs from February 21st to the 23rd. We'll have a booth number 323. You can come and visit us at and ask us questions that might interest you, whether you're interested in taking a hike, kayak or canoe trip Vancouver Island in Canada, or whether you're interested in going on safari or hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. Those are all things that we are able to provide people with.
And what was I showed you earlier to the viewers, I showed the different aspects that you've got, like the kayaking tours or hiking tours and the kayaking tours. Georgia, what was the excitement that started you down the road of this amazing adventure in your life?
I think really as a child I'd grown up in the New Forest in the UK and had spent much of my time either running around the forest, riding on the forest and being in the outdoors. And so having this natural love for nature, when I arrived in Canada, it was only natural that I would want to spend as much time exploring the outdoor spaces in this area. I came up with a motto: when you live in BC, why go on holiday? Because it's one of the most wonderful places to be. And I also explored other places and found that there are other nice places to go too. So my passion really is about sharing those places that are special to me with other people.
And what is interesting is you talk about your passion, and that is something that I have, because I was passionate about dance, etc. I've said to all three of you, Georgia has a brother and another sister, that actually always follow your passion. And you really have, haven't you? And I remember when you first told us that you were acting as a guide on trekking, and it all stemmed from that point, didn't it? That of to do what you're doing now, or didn't stem? No, as you say, in the New Forest. But what you're actually doing now is really coming from that trekking that you did some while ago.
Coastal Bliss, yes.
Yes.
In Canada. Yes, it all stemmed from the early childhood passion of being in the outdoors and engaging with nature. And I think more and more so, it's become evident and important that people are able to get themselves out into green spaces and blue spaces to help reduce the stresses that our very fast-paced environment demands of us, and being able to help guide people in that, not just as getting from A to B, or not just as a challenge, physical challenge, but also about being able to let go of stresses, being able to engage and reconnect with nature is equally amongst the passions that I intend to bring and endeavour to bring to people.
And she sure does. But one of the things that she's also started, because she's a very good businesswoman as well, is that she's actually started a venture with a joint venture with somebody in the UK, and I and her brother and his wife were the first to trek the trail in the along the coast. So and so any of people in Britain that actually want to taste her wonderful way of caring for you and being in the outdoors, do have a look at that. Georgia, just finally, because we're running out of time, just mention that. What are the dates of that one that you will be?
Yes, I've teamed up with Andrew Dugmore, who's a local guide and storyteller in Pembrokeshire, and we'll be doing hikes on the Pembrokeshire Coast Trail and in the Priscilla Hills. So some of you may know that this is the area that's very steeped in Arthurian legends. It also is a place close to St David's, where the smallest cathedral was built way back in sort of 625 or 900, so in early centuries. So there's a lot of history in that area. The dates that will be there are from July 15th to July 24th.
Right, I'm going to have to pretty well end it here, but if you're in Canada or if you're further afield but want to get to that trade show, that's going to be a very exciting time where you can meet Georgia and Gary, who you've heard on the video, in person and ask your questions. Georgia, darling, thank you very, very much indeed. I'm so excited for you. Bye-bye from me and...
Thank you very much, and goodbye from Georgia, from me.
Okay, bye-bye.